Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz. Chapter 2 Class Reunion. Inayat Khan pours himself some Moors. Some of the pink liquid drips from his chin onto his cravat. His suit is ill-fitting and the buttons are straining. It makes him look like an idiot. A fat idiot with a light blue cravat, he thinks. I shouldn't have come. Go anyway, you'll see your friends. Who'd you have there? That von Fersen? He was a nice boy, and he wasn't my friend. He was a psycho-terrorist. I loathed him. Nasty upstart. He's grown into a very respectable man. A careerist is what he's grown into. A disgusting guy, and a racist as well. Oh, I remember what he called me. Do you want me to tell you, Mom? What he called me? And Tirish and Jasper. Listen, Jasper is famous now too. Camel shit. Mom, he called me camel shit. Khan watches the magnetic tape slide against the reader. The plastic discs spin hypnotically in the machine. Magnet becomes music. A slow song. And for a moment it seems to him as if those spots of light are creeping up again on the walls and floor of the assembly hall, like stars in the sky or a swarm of jellyfish deep underwater. Spots sliding over Melon Loon's white dress, his hand getting sweaty on her waist. What to say? Time stands still, the music fades, and Khan's thick-rimmed diamaterialist glasses reflect the dark green eyes of Melon Lund. Halmiglar, keep me here. Ah! A woman, probably from another class in their year, comes to a stop beside him. He starts to say something, but then pretends to reach for a snack instead. Neither of them came. Khan is alone. The pantsuit-wearing woman is there, in her pantsuit. Can't just stand around, you have to manage somehow. He pulls a magic pen from his pocket. There, under the glass, Saparmat Knizinski, the chairman of the Presidium, or the president of the People's Republic of Samara, smiles his hearty black and white smile of history right into the camera. To his left, leaning against the ship's railing, a rat-faced man in the black leather coat of the secret police. Look, the disappearing commissar, says Khan, turning the pan. The rat-faced man under the glass vanishes. Only the chairman of the Presidium, Saparmat Nijinsky himself, stays on the deck, alongside Uchotomsky, a groveler, exceptionally adept at delivering embarrassing criticisms. Where there used to be a commissar, there is now an empty railing. You can also see the part of the bridge that the commissar hid before. Very interesting, says the woman in the pantsuit and peers over her shoulder. Khan wipes away a lock of hair stuck to his forehead. In his other hand, he still holds the pen, which he now looks at with dreamy smile, muttering to himself, Commissar? No commissar. The smile flickers for a moment and then disappears from the man's double-chinned face. Khan's big, sad eyes look at the bustle of adults on the hall floor. There, the class of year 56 calls each other's names. Handshakes are exchanged. Children's pictures are shown inside wallets. Commissar? No commissar. A man in his 30s sits on the parquet floor in a spacious room. The parquet is freshly varnished. Blonde bangs fall on the interior designer's forehead. He sits cross-legged, thin white hands in his lap. When he looks up, the room's interior design is reflected back at him in the floor-to-ceiling windows. In the gloom behind him appear the minimal skeletons of designer furniture, a kitchenette with a stone countertop, and analog system speakers like two mute obelisks. A lone spirit hangs over the room. A beige Perseus black peacoat hangs on the rack. and in the shoe rack are 3,000 rial white camera leather shoes. His hand is on the dimmer switch, and the light fades. The reflection of the room disappears, and in its place is a sea of ferns outside the floor-to-ceiling window. The dark green expanse dissipates into the darkness under the spruce trees. Usually he listens to music sitting here, but tonight it's so quiet you can hear the rain pattering on the ferns. In his 20s, while he was developing the world-famous Ildad minimal design language with his associates, Jesper de la Guardie was also doing a lot of nose candy. In those days, they would bounce between the bathrooms of the Architects Association Cafe and those of the prestigious interior design office, congratulating each other on inventing the future and sipping bottled water. This project we are doing, it rules. Through this language of shapes, we are defining human visual perception for the next century, and one day I will write a book about this. Tasteless people are cruel people. Evil is tasteless. It's really unthinkable, then, that simple and clear interior design will make a world a better place. Nose candy went out of fashion, but bottled water remained. Jesper takes a sip and stands up, adjusts the tie knot in the V-neck of his sweater, picks up the receiver, calls himself a taxi. The concrete cube beneath the spruce trees goes dark as the machine wears away into the shadowy grove with Jesper in it. A puff of fuel fumes remains in the backyard. In the empty house, between the glass walls, the phone rings. A white apparatus sitting on the top of a wooden table with an extraordinary beautiful grain. It is dark. International Collaboration Police Agent Tirish Mashayek steps off the huge scale of the train carriage and out to the magnetic floating station. The rain is picking up steadily, making the steel monoliths of the carriages shine. They tower above a platform suspended beneath the sky by a tangle of cables. Steam rises from the magnets underneath the carriages, hot from the current, and drifts like smoke along the asphalt of the platform. Mashayek takes his luggage from the concierge and moves with the crowd to the station building. A coin falls into the metal slot of a payphone. The dial tone sounds, and the ICP agent practices saying "hello" into the receiver in a normal and relaxed manner. The freckles on his cheek and the bridge of his nose have completely disappeared over time. The line of his mouth is permanently anxious. "Hello." No one answers. The man takes the guide with the address from his briefcase and decides in favor of the tram. The dark shape of the floating train station towers over the city. Glowing elevator cars descend from its belly down to Vasa like dandelion seeds. In one of them, Agent Mashayek watches how the only metropolis in the Nordics glows beneath his feet. The elevator window drips with rain. In the background, in the North Sea, a low, flat city disintegrates into an archipelago of light. Telefunken's slender mast rises alone from the saturnine green mass of the buildings. Motorways meander there, glowing golden, the traffic on them smooth as sleep. Königsmalm is there, that's the commercial center, and Salem is directly below, with the colored lights of the immigrant district flowing on the asphalt. Horse cars and carriages appear from under the riding hall awning, toil up the slopes, and disappear clip-clopping under the shiny green chestnut trees. The tracks disperse between the tens and hundreds of parks of Lovisa, leading to the University Islands and social housing districts, where the city quietly gives away to coniferous forests. Far away in the garden suburbs, the lights go out, and Mashayek feels the vacation areas shivering in the rain, empty beaches and pine forests. This is where the real Katla begins. Though it is only now the end of September, already a great cold is approaching from the other side of winter's orbit, drawing over her black woodland expanses, the clearing and valleys. Chestnut leaves blow under the awning of the manege and into the waiting pavilion, where a kitten-voiced girl announces the route numbers and delays over the loudspeaker. The frame of the building echoes them back to her in her cabin. Liv sticks to the glasses of the pavilion and the windows of the horse cars. The air is full of their musty smell. The ICP agent enters a packed carriage, suitcase in hand. On top of the suitcase, the contours of the Isolas of the Rial belt form a bird of prey taking flight, the coat of arms of the ICP. Private investigator. Han lies. He's not a private investigator. The private investigator is a fantastic amalgamation. It borrows the obesity and oily hair from his own career as a disappearance memorabilia collector in his parents' basement, and mixes in the career of his most successful classmate, Tirish Mashayek, who works in the missing persons department of the ICP, International Collaboration Police. The fantastic amalgamation has served Khan faithfully on many occasions. Well, this is not one of those times. Pardon me, I didn't quite catch that. The woman in the pantsuit is distracted. Private investigator. Specifically, I'll look for missing persons. When the police and the power structures have given up, then friends or family members, mostly family, come to me. And then I do my best. In the background, Sven van Fersen presents the former homeroom teacher with his collection of witty management articles, wearing quite the cosmopolitan face. You would never guess that in his vocabulary, people with yellowish skin, exotic names and accents were called camel shit. Aha, she turns to Khan. So you're still searching for them? Even now? Yeah, okay, that's how it was in the beginning. True. I've studied too, and one thing led to another. The man in the light blue cravat is sweating. He's starting to lose his patience. And besides, so what? Look around. Half the conversations here are about the same thing. So tell me again that you don't care. First of all, half of the conversations here are not about this. You think they are, but they aren't. And secondly, of course I am interested. But I think the whole thing is, well, sad. What's sad? This topic. But the people who keep bringing it back up. People who still write to the newspaper that they saw a woman somewhere who looked like what Melon or any loons would look like now. And so on. Oh, go fuck yourself! The people in the immediate vicinity of the buffet table fall silent and look in the direction of Khan and von Fersen. The woman in the pantsuit becomes uncomfortable. She looks away. The sweating man in dia-materialist glasses shoves the remaining half of a pretzel into his cheek and sets off towards the coachroom. The chestnut trees in the front of the high school are swaying in the wind. Leaves blow onto the steps of the main entrance, across the sidewalks and puddles. The surface of the water ripples. The wheels of an abruptly stopped machine break the cones of light cast by the street lights. The taxi door slams shut, and a 3,000 real pair of white camera shoes step into a puddle. The interior designer curses and takes 3 long steps. Indignant, he gives up on trying to shake off the mud, stuffs the folder under his arm, and walks up the stairs to the main entrance. It's warm inside, and it smells like glue. Jasper breezes through the lobby, the worn wooden floor creaking under his shoes. He takes a name tag from the smiling volunteer and puts it in the back pocket of his pants. Up in your chest. That's how they fought, so that everyone gets recognized. Yeah, sure, says Jasper and leaves the tag in his pocket. Yearbook portraits and class pictures are lined up on display stand. 8B. There's a skinny blonde boy with a head too big for his shoulders and bangs slicked back behind his ears. To his left, an overweight immigrant child from Ilmara with a dreadful cravat. Lil Khan gazes past the camera with a nebulous look. The tall, freckled Koiko in the backmost beanstalk row has suggested him that he should take his glasses off so he would look less lame. Bit by bit, the man's gaze moves along the rows of 8B, anxiety rising in his heart. His imagination is already running ahead of him. Somewhere in the middle of this row of girls shines a massive nuclear fission cluster, a distant constellation, a matrimony of matter. It had been 8 years ago when Jasper's sharp visage has first appeared on the glossy cover of the monthly design magazine. Admittedly, the limelight had to be shared with 2 other coke-addled visionaries. There they were, the 3 of them, on shoot, sitting on their flagship couch. The softbox diffused, Fackengaff played, and pioneers, future, decorers, and many other such wonderful things were written below, all of which he remembers very well. 2 hours later, Jasper sat alone in his glowing cube, a scrunchie in the palm of his hand, on a morbidly large stack of class photos and newspaper clippings. One look at the spruce trees swaying in the wind vanquished the temptation to check again to see if the scent had worn off. The scrunchie was sorted into domestic waste section, and the girls' folder sorted on the packaging. Jasper stood in the middle of the room and exhaled deeply. Enough of that. It was done with. Where are they? Why aren't they here? Why are neither of them here? Disappointed, Jasper disconcertedly takes a step back to the display stand to take care of his matter properly, to review all the pictures, when suddenly a 34-year-old man stops in the middle of the lobby. That man still lives with his mother. Early spring, 20 years ago. Little Inayat Khan falls sideways into an ice-coated mud puddle. His reindeer sweater is dirty, and dark red blood drips from his nose. In the midst of numerous discouragements and worried recommendations to stay down, the boy still slowly pulls himself up, briefly slipping down now and again. Finally, he stands eye to eye with Sven von Fersen, only a few meters away. Dirt crusts on little Khan's face, hands riding into an incorrect fighting stance. His fists shake with anger and humiliation. Listen, you know what he said, don't you? Von Fersen starts up again. His nasty little lackey knows what Han said, but asks anyway, tell me what he said, Sven. Sven is not stingy with answers. He walked Malin home and kissed her. You understand? Khan the cunt accompanied her home. Can the cunt kissed her? There arises a roar of laughter, and the lackey immediately retorts, "Oh, why are you gonna tell a sick story like that? You get what you deserve. Or you make up something that disgusting, you get what you deserve. You think Malin likes hearing a gross story like that? No, she doesn't, does she?" Tears of anger run down the cheeks of the boy in the reindeer sweater. Yesterday, after school, Khan did let his imagination run wild. It had been a terrible mistake. The sun emerges from behind the clouds, and he already sees a few dozen meters away from the spectators how Malin Lund's blonde hair shines like a glorious halo. She blushes with shame. Charlotte, the oldest sisters, puts her hand on Malin's shoulders, and in their spring coats, they both turn their backs on him. "Shouldn't you have, I don't know, camels on that sweater or something?" A scream like a curved sword reverberates through the schoolyard. Khan makes a desperate dash towards von Fersen. Although he slips a little on the way, in his mind's eye he still sees the sharp spear of Ramut Karzai, of Amistad's heroic epic, drilling towards his enemy's chest. The distance is shrinking. A life-threatening collision seems inevitable. But suddenly, out of the periphery of his anger-induced tunnel vision, an unknown actor appears and holds him, the other hand pressed as a stop sign against von Fersen's puffed-up chest. With arms outstretched and a blonde lock of hair falling in his face, Jesper spits out his gum and emits a barrage of "Damn it, Sven, don't fuck around" arguments. Khan tries to free himself from his deskmate's grip, his bruises on his cheek and bloody nose staining Jesper's shoulder. This is how they stand. The bell rings and the lunch break is over. As the schoolyard is emptying of children, Jesper wipes the shoulder of his sweater with a napkin. "So, did you kiss Malin or what?" "No, but I did walk her home. It went well. Really well. Just not that well." "Yeah." "That's the same shirt." "Han, tell me that's not the same shirt." "Jesper." Two adults stand in a coat room and shake hands for the first time in years. There is a smidgen of warmth in Jesper's wry smile. "I might have acted a bit impolitely when we last saw each other," he begins. "I understand now. That was a mistake." Han just laughs it off. His few days old beard shakes along with his friendly double chin. I left a bad impression. Having said that, Jesper is left wondering what he planned next. "I have news. Something new." He points to the folder and looks at Han inquisitively. "Oh, have you, I don't know, become a chef in the meantime?" "Ah, you know me. I'm always hardcore." Without the slightest acknowledgement of the class reunion, Khan grabs his jacket off the coat room and they head out for the door. Look, the disappearing commissar." "That's not too shabby." "I made Tirish one too. That's a particularly special version. It's the same picture, but guess what happens when you turn it a little further?" "What?" "Ukhutomsky disappears too. And the pigeon. It's halfway behind Ukhutomsky. Otherwise there would be half a pigeon left hanging in the air." "Precisely." Raindrops drip from Agent Mashaik's umbrella. A puff of smoke lingers in the umbrella's canopy and then disappears into the wind. Holding an astra between his teeth, he folds the map and puts it in his briefcase. Two men run through the slivery curtain of rain, straight towards him across the lawn of the high school. The Koiko in the grey herringbone coat takes a step back. He makes room under the umbrella. It is immense, after all. ICP standard issue. Did you apologize? Oh, he apologized. Pan answers for Jethro. Is it cool there? Mashayek nods towards the school. Khan shakes his head. Let's go to the city instead, Jesper specifies. There's a place. A new place. Three men step under the large umbrella and out of focus. A volley of distant sleigh bells approaches, ringing like the silver curtains drawing close behind the friends' backs. "8 years ago. The needles dance at the 12 decibels under their little lamps until the Stereo 8 format tape clicks against the magnetic reader. The beat is unbearably smooth, more modern than nose candy. Or, you never know, it's hard to say. The beat is local, originating in the world-famous recording studios of Vasa. It was made by a semi-mythical person, Fakengaf, who, although an Oranies immigrant, a disc jockey and a music producer, functions rather more like a group of people or a machine in the sky. The nose candy, on the other hand, came through an uncharted strip of pale on a pirate cruiser. It was made by the machete-wielding slave dreaming of a revolution and by the overseer guarding the fields with a carbine. Fakengaf made the beat so that girls would start dancing and boys would enjoy watching. The slave with the machete made the nose candy so that La Puta Madre cartel would not put his family in front of a firing squad. At 6 months, the nose candy ripens on the high mountain plateau of Firmala, under the rays of the golden sun. The sun was prevented from falling out of the turquoise sky by the World Eagle and its 1,000 kilometers wingspan. The part where the beak seems to go on the very half a minute and then underwater and then again, as unbelievable it may be, returns even cooler, was whispered into Fakengaf's ear by the very soul of debauchery. Oh, she had the white wings of an angel, but the breath against the disc jockey's ear had been hot with passion, smelling of cinnamon and primal evil. My God, how pleasant is this numbness in my nose. My God, how good is that part where the beat emerges from underwater. So sad. Even cooler than before. How cool am I? How cool? I'm there on the cover. I'm so cool there on the cover. I'm a pillar of light, vertical, and I'm surrounded by a dark room. And that's it. There's nothing more. Do you understand? Nothing. The guests sitting on Jesper's white divan cube and behind the multifunctional desk module share impressions of the World's Fair. Glasses are clinked together in a display of champagne socialism. Jesper dances alone, like a rare albino rooster. From the water bottle in his right hand, pearly drops fly onto the windows. Like a time that has already been gone, the streets of Lhasa slip out of the side window of the taxi. A large black horse snorts, steam rising from its nostrils. Something sweet seeps into the battered heart of the ICP agent. The rain stops, and the young people in the dock slowly close their umbrellas. Metro entrances, familiar place names. A girl on a bicycle turns into a side street where yellow illuminated signs are steaming in the damp. Traffic is reflected in the windows of houses and closed shops until the motorway rises above the footpaths. The passing city flashes through the cracks in the stone traffic barrier, and a small boy waves towards Maciek from the window of a passing motor carriage. On the Königsmalm bridge, the passing streetlights turn into a dotted line. The grey silhouette of a prestigious residential area towers above the water. Derish's home was there when he lived in Vasa as a child. Ahead, through the windshield of the motor carriage, the island district begins. 20 years ago, it still had a shady reputation. As Jesper now explains, careful development and some breakthrough galleries have made Östermalm the next trend district. Burgess Bohemia, you mean? The taximeter is ticking. The cabin is warm and dark. Jesper doesn't even acknowledge Teresa's bit. Hey, spit it out! Han turns the mixed topic conversation of urban development and class reunion in an unexpected direction. I need a projector. There's also a tape. I'll tell you more at Kino, okay? Then show me the hair tie. Yeah, it's getting morbid, Jesper. Show us the hair tie. Show us the scrunchie. Teresh joins in the begging. Come on, don't start. I don't carry it with me. I threw it away. It was a very strange time in general. A sly smile appears in Khan's face. Jesper, don't be stingy. Yeah, don't be stingy. Show it to the class. Jesper looks outside the window. No. A quiet moment passes. The murmur of the wheels on the road, the clicking of the turn signal. Khan and Teresh look at each other with a grin, and Jesper looks out the window with feigned indifference. Only after a while does he feel the responsibility of resuming the story weigh on his shoulders. So what did you tell Farson? A detective story? The hair tie, Jesper! The hair tie! Show it! Resigned, the interior designer put his hand into the bosom of his precious black fur-coat and pulls out a ring box. Only recently, everything felt good, and now it's so sad. Talking about funk aesthetics and futurism with the photographer wife of a young real estate designer under the window, he'd had a feeling that this was how it would all be all the time now. That would never go back to normal again. But right now, the kitten's voice from the monolithic speakers say 10,000 times in a row that she's in love, in love, in love. Outside the window, the morning grey permeates the darkness about the ferns, cold and dank. It doesn't feel like before at all, like it applies to Jesper. Just to some singer in the studio somewhere. Should probably top up. It's just dead. Didn't get better at all. Don't know. Should probably do some more anyway. A minute later, a 26-year-old version of Jesper de la Gardie, who had just entered the Major League, stands in the milky grey light in the middle of the room. His coffee-colored dress shirt is unbuttoned. His nostrils are red and his lips are pursed angrily. Hey, the party's over. Go home. Go home. No one can hear him. Gaff is too loud. With the Stereo 8 format magnetic tape player's stop button under his finger, a pillar of light stands in the middle of the sudden silence. Heads turn. Party's over. Go home, you scum. Yee! Jesper's mouth, sunken into a monstrously disdainful arch, and his glassy eyes accompany the embarrassing exit, the search for clothes and handbags. A fellow visionary pats him on the back, and in return receives the sort of bottomless, abyssal look that ruins interpersonal relationships for eternity. The young real estate developer's photographer wife lags a little behind the group in front of the house and then turns back under the concrete roof of the cube. My anklet, she lies. Long strapped shoes with a silver chain around the neck and around the ankle frame. This next somber scene. Jesper is sitting among the garbage sorting bags scattered in the kitchen corner. Amidst apple cores, empty water bottles, and paper bags for handmade pasta, he looks into the kind face of the real estate developer's wife. The sea spray fogged September beach behind his eyes communicates that Jesper is not interested. Your sympathy? No, thank you. Reeds rustle in the wind, the silhouettes of changing cabins in a line under the bleak white sky. 4 girls run over the sand and vanish into thin air. In his right hand, the interior designer is still holding a light pink scrunchie. Han looks at Jesper, the ring bows under his nose. His eyebrows are furrowed worriedly. A jolt goes through the cabin as the machine stops. The taxi driver pokes his head from the driver's compartment into the saloon, but then quickly turns away, seeing the expressions on the faces of the group. The scent is gone, says Han. I know. There's something very strong with that, and very wrong with that. I know.